What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to JellyGoonTV. Welcome to all you beautiful people on YouTube. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and thank you so much for watching. Today we have another comment request by this beautiful person right here. He says, part 2 soon. Battle of Borodino and Napoleon's retreat in Russia winter. Because we reacted to Russian invasion of Russia. What? No, France invasion of Russia. Okay, never mind. Let's just get into this and see what it's all about. Let's go.
This Epic History TV video
I love
is
Epic
brought
History.
to you by Magellan
So nice.
TV,
It's
the
such a nice
documentary
voice, that's
streaming
why.
service.
So nice. All of my 50 battles, the most terrible ones were fought in Bloodiest, Napoleon. Oh, okay. Let's see what this is about, man. Wow, I'm excited.
Russia, 1812.
Look at the art. It's beautiful.
Napoleon invades his former ally with the largest army Europe has ever seen. But for the
In
French
that time,
Emperor,
right?
the decisive blow remains frustratingly beyond reach. Russia's resilience is unlike anything he's ever encountered. And as winter closes in, his army begins the most infamous retreat in history.
Wow. Let's watch this, man. Jeez. Part 2, Borodino.
September 1812. 10 weeks had passed since Napoleon invaded Russia with more than 500,000 men. The French Emperor wanted a quick victory over the Russians.
Let me pause here, man. Actually, I want to say something in the World War II video. It's actually funny when we watched this Napoleon invasion of Russia. It was actually the same strategic points and strategic military advantage that was used. Like Germany actually, circled everything like the Russian army, and Napoleon actually did the same, like running them out and catching them and just blowing them out. But let's see how it goes, man. Let's go.
Force Emperor Alexander to make peace and agree to French terms. But at Vitebsk and then Smolensk, the outnumbered Russian army had narrowly escaped his clutches. The holy city of Smolensk had been virtually destroyed. Napoleon had advanced deep into Russia, and months of marching had left his army decimated by disease and exhaustion. It was now half its
Russia is a
original
big
strength,
country, man.
and summer was nearly over. But finally, 70 miles west of Moscow, near the village of Borodino, the Russians had turned to offer battle. Napoleon would have a chance to win the decisive victory that he believed would end the war. In 1812, Napoleon was master of Europe, but his meteoric rise to power had nearly been cut short several times by cannonballs, bullets,
This guy.
even by Madame Guillotine.
He's a savage. Let's just
His
get
early
that.
years are brilliantly retold in the drama documentary Napoleon, available now on documentary streaming service Magellan TV, generous sponsors of this video. Magellan TV offers access to more than 2,000 documentaries on history, science, space, and true crime, available through your TV, computer, phone, or tablet from as little as $5 a month. New documentaries are added weekly, and many are available in glorious 4K. And if you visit magellantv.com/epichistorytv, you can try out their service for a whole month for free.
Wow,
Magellan
nice.
TV has dozens of programs we'd happily recommend, from a history of aviation to World War II's Eastern Front. So if you're a history fan, we think this is a great offer. Thanks to Magellan TV for supporting the channel.
Soldiers in the battle, you have no long desire. Our victory depends on you. Napoleon, the army of the heaven. Eve of battle, okay.
The Russian army, commanded
I
by
like this battlefield.
67-year-old
That's
one-eyed
nice.
veteran General Kutuzov, occupied a defensive position across the two main roads.
Oh, the link is in the
from
description if you want to go
Smolensk
check
to
the
Moscow.
video out on the channel, man. So just,
General
show support,
Barclay de
man.
Tolly's First Army was on the right, its front protected by the Kalatsha River, steep-banked but shallow and easily forded. Prince Bagration's Second Army was on the left, a more open position but reinforced by major earthworks, the Great Redoubt, and what the French nicknamed, for their shape, the Flèche. the arrows. Another forward redoubt at Borodino was expected to delay the enemy's advance. Historians still dispute the size of the Russian army, but it's likely Kutuzov had around 121,000 men and 680 guns at Borodino.
Okay.
On the 5th of September,
Wait, what?
Napoleon's army began to arrive from the west. Around 130,000 men and 585 guns.
Jeez.
Napoleon quickly saw that the Borodino redoubt would have to be taken before he could deploy his army, and ordered an immediate assault. The attack was led by Compan's 5th Division of the 1st Corps, supported by the Polish 5th Corps to the south. In several hours of heavy fighting, the redoubt changed hands more than once. But late that evening, the Russians finally withdrew to their main line, and the redoubt fell to the French. Its capture had cost them an estimated 4,000 casualties,
Wow.
while the Russians lost around 6,000 men.
Whoosh.
Napoleon noted how few prisoners were taken, a worrying sign of the enemy's unbroken resolve. Both sides spent the next day preparing for battle. Marshal Davout, commanding French 1st Corps and widely considered Napoleon's most able subordinate, appealed to the Emperor to use his corps to make a wide, outflanking attack to the south. But Napoleon dismissed the idea as too risky, and instead began preparing for a massive frontal assault on the Russian defenses.
It could not escape the feeling that something huge and destructive was hanging over all of us. Wow, okay.
Shortly after dawn on the 7th of September, Orthodox priests paraded one of Russia's holiest icons, Our Lady of Smolensk, before the Russian army. It was a stirring sight for many devout Russian soldiers, thousands of whom would not live to see dusk.
Wow.
The battle began at 6 a.m. as French batteries opened a deafening cannonade against the Russian defenses. Eugene's 4th Corps advanced on Borodino village, lightly held by Jaegers of the Russian Imperial Guard. After clearing the village, his infantry crossed the Kalacha and advanced towards the Great Redoubt, but were driven back with heavy losses. The Russians burned the bridge across the river, but did not launch a counterattack, and Eugene was able to move cannon into the village to put flanking fire on the Great Redoubt.
What are these guys doing
in
over
the
here?
center,
Like, up in the
Davout's
top.
1st Corps began its advance against the Fleches, coming under heavy fire. While on the right, the Polish 5th Corps, ordered to take Utitsa, got held up in the woods and ravines. Their slow advance allowed Tushkov's 3rd Corps to send a division north to reinforce the Flech defenses. Kutuzov, at his headquarters in Gorky, took little part in the battle, leaving tactical decisions to his subordinates. Barclay and Bagration had spent most of the summer arguing furiously over strategy, but in the hour of crisis, they put their differences aside. They could see the main French attack was falling on the Russian center and left. So Barclay ordered General Bagavout's 2nd Corps south to reinforce Bagration. Fighting around the Flech intensified as the French captured one of the earthworks, only to be driven out by a Russian counterattack. Davout himself was injured in the fighting as he fell from his dying horse, but he refused to leave the field. When Russian cavalry counterattacked, Marshal Murat himself led the French cavalry forward to meet them. Ney's 3rd Corps now joined the attack on the Flech.
Full
charge
war.
by Russian cuirassiers forced Murat to take shelter in a square of Württemberg infantry. Murat, with his flamboyant dress and reckless courage, had now even made a name for himself among the Russians. The Cossacks in particular saw him as a kindred spirit and were eager to capture him alive if they could.
They want to know what he knows.
To the south, Polish troops now took Utitsa, which the Russians set ablaze before withdrawing. But General Bagavut's reinforcements arrived just in time to shore up the Russian flank. Around 10 a.m., Eugène launched another attack on the Great Redoubt. It was briefly captured by Murat's 1st Division, before his men were thrown out by a ferocious Russian counterattack. The Russian army's 27-year-old artillery commander, General Kutesov, was killed leading one of these counterattacks. A heroic death, but a blow to the organization of Russian artillery for the rest of the day. Fighting continued to rage around the Flèche earthworks. Some counted as many as 6 major French assaults, involving 45,000 troops, with hundreds of cannon on both sides, pouring fire into the packed ranks.
That's crazy.
More than once, French infantry fought their way into one of the Russian positions, only to be driven out again at bayonet point. Junot's
again with the
first
reinforcements on this
was
one.
sent forward in support, helping to clear Russian skirmishers from the woods to the south. General Bagration was close to the action, overseeing the defense of the Flèche, leading forward reinforcements and ordering counterattacks. Around 10 a.m., he was hit in the leg by shell fragments. Mortally wounded, he was carried from the field. Shaken by the loss of their iconic commander, the exhausted Russian infantry began to fall back. The French finally took the Flèche. Marshal Murat then led forward Friant's division, First Corps' last reserve, supported by waves of heavy cavalry on both flanks. Russian grenadiers formed squares to ward off the French cuirassiers, while their own guard cavalry fought the French in a giant confused melee, with heavy losses on both sides.
That's crazy.
The Russians resisted doggedly, but the combined onslaught of French artillery, cavalry, and infantry proved irresistible. As the Russians pulled back, Friant's infantry fought their way into the village of Semyonovsky.
I'm gonna just pause here. I actually want to know one thing. One thing I always thought about in these kind of wars is, why are they standing in lines? Like, you know, they have these lines of soldiers that is shooting and then bowing down, reloading, and then the other ones are shooting. Why standing in straight line and just wait for each other to get shot? It makes no sense for me, but can you please explain down in the comments down below what it actually means? I really want to know, man. Why do they do that? I don't get that. Is it honor? Is it what is it, man? But yeah, I just want to know that. So comment down below if you know that, man. Let's go.
The Russian center was in disarray and seemed close to breaking. Surely now was the time for Napoleon to deliver the knockout blow.
Uh-oh. Soldiers face to the enemy, let's go and get killed. French colony to his men at Borodino.
For most of the day, Napoleon remained at his headquarters near Borodino. Those around him later said that illness, as well as the exertions of the long campaign, had left him tired and irritable. As the Russian center buckled, Murat and his staff urged him to send forward his last reserve, the Imperial Guard. The Emperor refused. If there is another battle tomorrow, he asked them, where is my army? But he did make one exception. Barclay was continuing to move troops from his unengaged right wing to bolster the center. As Osterman Tolstoy's 4th Corps arrived behind the Russian center, French observers feared they were massing for an attack. So Napoleon ordered forward General Sorbier's Guard artillery. His batteries opened a devastating fire on the enemy. Yet even as they were mown down in their ranks, the Russian infantry stood their ground.
That's what's up.
On the Russian right wing, all remained quiet. So General Platov, commander of the Don Cossacks, proposed that he lead an attack on the lightly defended Borodino village. Permission received, Generals Platov and Uvarov led a force of 8,000 Cossacks and cavalry across the Kalacha River. They fell on French and Italian troops around Borodino with complete surprise, spreading panic and disorder.
Of course.
Grouchy's 3rd Cavalry Corps had to be pulled back across the river to drive off the Russians. Russian commanders saw this raid as a missed opportunity, but it had delayed the next French attack by 2 hours, and may have persuaded Napoleon that he was right to hold back his reserve.
I had never seen such carnage. General Napoleon's aide-de-camp, only 22nd time at Bloodiest.
Around
crazy.
3 p.m.,
That's a lot of
the
dead
French
people,
launched
man.
their biggest assault yet on the Great Redoubt. Russian gunners targeted the French infantry advancing to their front, allowing French cavalry to outflank the redoubt and charge it from the rear. Saxon cavalry were first in, cutting down Russian infantry and gunners almost to the last man. It was an astonishing feat by the horsemen, against all the rules of war, and testament to the ferocity of the fighting. As Eugene's infantry consolidated their hold on the redoubt, he ordered forward all the available cavalry to exploit this success. But they were met and checked by the last Russian cavalry reserves.
Wow.
Eugene now implored Napoleon to commit the Imperial Guard. But again, the Emperor refused. "I will not destroy my guard," he told his staff. "I am 800 leagues from France, and I will not risk my last reserve." By 5 p.m., both armies were in a state of utter exhaustion.
Of course.
The battlefield was strewn with dead and wounded. Some infantry battalions could muster only a third of their strength. Cavalry could advance no faster than a trot. Gun crews were collapsing with fatigue. As dusk approached, fighting slowly
the
died
war
out
get exhausted,
across
you
the
know?
battlefield.
The material. That's crazy.
Napoleon and the French army expected the fighting to resume the next day. But by dawn, Kutuzov, having learned the full, horrifying scale of Russian losses, had ordered a withdrawal. The losses on both sides were enormous. Russian casualties are estimated at 44,000.
Wow.
French losses around 30,000.
That's crazy.
Including 49 generals, 12 of them killed. Borodino would prove to be the bloodiest single day of the Napoleonic Wars.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy.
The Russian army could not fight another battle until it had received major reinforcements. And so Kutuzov decided that he must abandon Moscow. On the 15th of September, a week after his victory at Borodino, Napoleon entered the city. He would find it virtually deserted, and already the first fires starting to burn.
Wow, let's pause here, man. That's crazy. Napoleon actually, wow. That's amazing, man. That is really amazing. Wow, bloodiest day of Napoleon. That's not the retreat. Anyway, man, that was a nice video. Napoleon's bloodiest days. That is amazing, man. That is truly amazing to see that Napoleon actually had a lot of fights. Like, seriously, that is incredible, man. He lost a lot of soldiers, and so did the Russians. That was a bloody ass war, man. It really was. But if you like this video, please leave a like down below, and if you really want to subscribe to the channel, please do it. Show support. We almost at 140 subscribers. I really do appreciate every single one of you, and I'm gonna see you into the next video. Peace.